Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I'm really excited to be halfway through the week. We got Thursday, we got Friday. My kids don't have school on Monday, so I'm very excited. Looking forward to having a 4-day weekend. So, yeah, good vibes, good vibes. So, I just wanted to check in with you guys. As you all know, I was dismissed from medical school almost 2 years ago. Actually, I can't believe it's actually been almost 2 years ago. But almost 2 years ago for failing to pass my step one board examination. So I talked about it. I didn't go into too many details. I went into some details about, what may have resulted to the testing anxiety that I had. But I just wanted to check in with you guys because today the USMLE, which is the United States Medical Licensing examination. Oops, sorry, it's a little gnat in my classroom. My apologies. But they basically just released some really huge information. And so basically, again, for me, I failed my board exams a total of 3 times. And part of that, the biggest reason is because of the test anxiety that I had with the exam, especially after failing it one time, but the second time the anxiety was like on a whole nother level because it's like, hey, I know that I need this exam, not only so that I can move on to the next phase of medical school, but so I can get in a decent residency as well. So traditionally, residency programs have looked highly on your step one examination, even more so than your step two examination, in regards to determining what residency. Hey, brother. Hey, Logan. I'm glad you tuned in. This is some good information. I'm talking about the step one exam. Okay, so yeah, so traditionally, they look at your step one exams to determine, if you are competitive enough to actually be in their program. So, for instance, if you want to go into something that's extremely competitive, like orthopedic surgery or dermatology, like you have to be hitting top numbers. Like, I'm talking about, a lot of med students are like 250s and up. So I know those numbers really may not mean nothing to you, especially if you're just starting your journey and trying to get into medical school. But for my med students out there, you guys know how huge of a deal this is. And so basically, what they have decided, because I haven't gotten there yet. So, what step one USMLE has decided is that they are changing the step one score reporting from a 3-digit numeric score, and I'm reading off the website too, just so y'all can know y'all getting facts. Numeric score to solely a pass fail outcome. So you may be wondering, like, okay, what does that mean? Well, let's just say for somebody who, like myself, deals with test taking anxiety, if there was not such a pressure on this exam, I feel like there are some students who may have possibly scored, or, I'm not going to say scored better because technically it's a pass or fail, but they would have went through their actual designated study period, um, and like being less stressed about it, right? Because there's like a lot of pressure. Not only is it pressure to pass the exam, but there's pressure to do extremely well on the exam. Now, granted, I'm not sure what the curve is going to be. Um, Mind you, when I failed, I think I can't even tell y'all the scores now, but the passing score is like a 190, 198, 196. I can't even think. I'm sorry, y'all. Maybe, let's just say 196. And so what that means is I don't know if technically equivalently in order for you to pass, like you're going to have to need like a 210, but without a number, you know what I mean? So I don't know how they're going to like quantify the actual questions. But I think that this is a good day for medicine. I really do. I know some people are going to feel differently. And I encourage you to chime in the comment section and let's have a dialogue about it. Current medical students, um, students who are interested in going to medical school, like let's talk about it because this is big. So I'm just going to read from the website for you guys. So it says, this decision by the USMLE co-sponsors FSMB and MBME culminated a year-long process that included the Invitational Conference on USMLE scoring. In reaching this decision, the USMLE co-sponsors engaged educators, regulators, examinees, and members of the public through surveys, presentations at national meetings, webinars, podcasts, etc. Various score reporting options were considered, including maintaining the status quo, i.e., no change to the score reporting. The views of all stakeholders were considered throughout the complex score reporting debate. Specific consideration was placed on supporting the educational engagement and overall experience of medical students, and on increasing the dialogue about how many multiple assessments of competency could be used by stakeholders in medical regulation and medical education. Okay, so that is what went into the actual decision. And like I said, this was just released sometime today. So again, this is like a huge deal in medicine. And because of that reason, they're saying that they won't be rolling out this pass fail option until no earlier. It says no earlier, so it could be later, but no earlier than I believe January of 2022. So that's like fairly short amount of time. And so that is really good news for students who are just getting into school, because from what I'm reading, they're going to be looking more at the holistic view of its applicants. And then it's also interesting because there's a lot of medical schools now who have stepped away from giving, y'all give me a second, y'all know it's been a long day. But they've stepped away from giving, what's the exams? Your exams after each rotation. Okay, so usually there's an exam that schools have to take, that you have to take after each of your, y'all, it's gonna come to me in like 2 seconds, after each one of your clinics. But they're not doing that anymore for a lot of schools. And so a lot of students are just kind of like, well, how am I going to distinguish myself as an applicant? So that's one thing that is making med students like a little bit, I feel some type of way. And then now you add the step one that may be going to a pass fail. And then you also have some med schools that their grading scale is also pass fail, where you have other students who have like an honors based system and it's still kind of pass fail. And then you have some schools who are still on your like your traditional AB passing type thing. So there's a lot of changes that are happening in medicine, and I'm excited to see, what this means for the future of medicine, for sure. And it's interesting because I had many people during this journey. I've had a lot of supporters, but I've also had a lot of negativitors, and a lot of people were just like, if I would have, like, for instance, passed my exam on the last time, that technically, I wouldn't have had a chance to get into residency, even if I passed with like the lowest score, right? So of course, if it was a system of like pass fail, like that would be obsolete. And so that wouldn't actually be, something to actually worry about. And so, yeah, like, it's interesting. I'm very interested to see, like, what this really means. Let's see, let me see. I think I just had, Logan just said, Logan said, you going back? Unfortunately, no, I am not going back. But like I said, I do think this is good news for people who are interested in going into medical school. And I wonder what it means even more so for students who are IMG students, so like international students, what that would mean for them, because step one has been even it has been even more, yeah, I'm trying to find my words, don't judge me. But it's been even more of a big deal for those students because they're not, they're trying to compete for U.S. residency program. So, like I said, again, this is like super, super huge. And so let's read on a little bit more on the website. So it says, when will score reporting for the when will score reporting for the step one change from a three-digit numeric score to solely a pass fail outcome? And how will this impact examinee score reports and transcripts? So this says that the transition, like I said, will occur no earlier than January 1. So we kind of went over that a little bit. But what else? Okay. How will I differentiate myself from others if my step one examination does not have a score? So I'm looking again directly on their website, and it's saying that the USMLE co-sponsors recognize that an ideal system for evaluating candidates for residency is holistic. This system should feature trusted quantitative and qualitative assessments of a candidate's competencies and unique characteristics. In such a system, USMLE would serve as just one of these objective measures and be weighed appropriately. Okay. So, yeah, I'm all about the holistic approach because, you know, a lot of people are just kind of ignorant to just the test taking process in general. And like I said, I feel like a lot of people just assume, like, oh, you didn't pass the test, like, you're not smart, you didn't deserve to be a doctor. And, like, that's far from the truth. Like, there's so many factors that go into preparing for an exam. And when I tell you, like, mental is much more of a hurdle for many people than it is the actual knowledge that goes into actually preparing for these exams. And then let's see. Another thing is, with the implementation of this change, will score reports be available faster? And so it says that the same scoring and quality control measures will continue to be applied. USMLE will continue releasing scores weekly on Wednesdays, with step one scores generally released within 3 to 4 weeks of the test date. So it looks like that isn't changing because, of course, like they said, they want to make sure that the quality is still well as well. So, yeah, hold on. Let's see. What did you say? Hold on. I'm checking for your message. Okay. Okay. Logan said, as a teacher, I believe that this is a step in the right direction away from a big emphasis on standardized testing and scores. I definitely agree. And you know I feel the same way as a educator as well, because there are some of our students that we know can flourish, but it's just something about the testing environment that many of us are not able to overcome. And I think that it's important that we continue to like focus on test taking strategies because I mean tests are still a big part of like society in our life and like differentiating us. But I think it's very important that we have multiple ways to view people for sure. Because just because you can pass a test don't mean you got a lick of common sense. And regardless of how people feel, like I know that I would have been, I would have been a pretty good doctor, I will say. Just because I was really passionate about it and, I knew my information. It was just on that test. And then we know a lot of these tests have biases as well to them, and some of our minority students struggle a bit more on the curve of test taking, depending on, what school system they went through as well. Definitely plays a role. So yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction. So I wonder what would that mean, like for instance, if they did like a pass fail for the MCAT. I wonder what that would mean. And I wonder like how, if anybody does get on to this and, gets a chance to chime in, even if you're not on the actual live, if you are an IMG student, like how do you feel about it? In addition, they did say that they're going to go ahead and keep step two. Oh, oh yeah. Okay, so Okay, let me read this part. Sorry, I thought I read this part already. So it says, why is score reporting for step one changing from a 3-digit numeric score solely to a pass and fail outcome? It says the USMLE co-sponsors believe that change in step one score reporting to pass fail can help reduce some of the current overemphasis on USMLE performance while also retaining the ability of medical licensing authorities, because it definitely costs some dollars, it's definitely expensive, to use the exam for its primary purpose of medical licensure. The USMLE co-sponsors also believe that moving to a pass-fail step one while retaining a numeric score for step two clinical knowledge represents a positive step towards systemic change while limiting large-scale disruption to the overall educational and licensing environment. This change is also an important first step towards facilitating broader systemic changes to improve the transition from undergraduate to graduate medical education. We will remain actively involved in the additional work sparkled by INCUS, that of the broader systems review of the UME GME transition undertaken by the organizations in the Coalition for Physician Accountability. So if you are just chiming in, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am just having a quick dialogue about the changes with the USMLE Step 1 exam. If you are unfamiliar, the Step 1 exam is the exam that I failed it's almost been 2 years. I want to say in April. So my 2-year anniversary is coming up. But that is the exam that I failed. They are now no longer going to be looking at the actual scores. They're going to be doing a pass fail. And so now it's not going to be the basis of a score that will determine what residency program you will be most suited for. So I'm assuming, I don't know if for residency programs, I'm assuming that maybe they're going to take a higher, not a higher, but they're going to take more consideration into step two, because now a lot of residency programs, hold on y'all, I'm a little parched, that's why I'm sounding a little crazy too. So a lot of residency programs, they look at your step one score on such a larger scale than your step two score. And there's some people who end up even delaying their step two score if they score really, really well on step one score, because they want that to be the main focus of their application. So I'm assuming that residency programs will probably look much tougher on your actual CK, which is your clinical knowledge portion. And yeah, so this is a big deal. Do y'all got any questions? Is there anybody on here that's already in medical school and wants to chime in, or is there anybody who's interested in going to medical school and you just confused, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. All right. Sorry, you guys. It disconnected me. All right. So D-Guard is currently studying for step one right now. D-Guard says, I think the change in general is bad. Do you mind elaborating a little bit more, D-Guard? And welcome, welcome. I have a lot of friendly members and supporters that are on here right now. So if you could kind of chime in your thoughts, we greatly appreciate it. To the family. Okay, so D-Guard says it will hurt IMG students and other not at highly ranked medical schools. Okay, I think that's something, and I think that's one thing I kind of noted as well, is I'm wondering what role it will play for your IMG students, but I didn't even really consider students who are also not at highly ranked med schools. So I guess, it's the biggest concern, do you feel that without having this quantitative type of measurement, that students will essentially be looked at based off of the prestige of their schooling? And let's see. And Logan said, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yep, I agree. I definitely agree. And then Logan says, how do you think IMG students will be able to be more competitive? Like I said, I don't. What I'm thinking right now is that a stronger emphasis will be placed on the step two examination because, like they said, step two is not going to be a pass or fail. So it's going to be based solely on your score. But I think that I'm sorry, did I say step three? I meant step two. Step two is still going to be based on a 3-point score. So I think they'll look at that more. And then also thinking about it. So, Logan, I'm not sure if you know or not, but step two is what most med students take after their third year of medical school. So right before you go into fourth year. Some schools, they have a little bit more leniency. However, there's two parts to step two. So you have your step two CK, which is your clinical knowledge, and then you also have your step two CS, which is your clinical skills. And so with the clinical skills portion of it, that has been a way to weed out a lot of IMG students because it is very heavy on like your, communication and just, your English. So they're able to weed out a lot of international students who may have, pretty good scores, but their English isn't, that great. And so that is one way to weed out. So what are you thinking, DGAR? Do you also feel that step two is going to have more emphasis? And then I'm wondering, like, our residency programs, are they going to have like more stricter guidelines on when you need to take step two? Because like I said, there's a lot of programs who, you can still interview with the school if you, for instance, if you like failed a part of your step two exam, you could still interview, or you could, have interview scheduled and you are in the process of getting ready to take your step two as well. Yes, I think so. It's going to make year three very stressful. Clinical grades will matter more too. So that's another thing that I was saying. There are some medical schools now who are actually not even doing clinical grades. They're also doing a pass fail, which I think that's a concern with med students as well when they aren't getting grades, because it's like, how am I going to separate myself from other students? But I will say, of course, I definitely come from my own personal experience from taking step one. Of course, I didn't get to like year three to necessarily be in that space or to speak from that space. So I'm not trying to speak from any other space besides my own experience. And like I said, for me, step one, it was so much pressure that came with step one that when I actually think about like the clinical aspect of medicine, I felt like it just wasn't a true representation of how I would fare as a medical doctor. Whereas I feel like step two is more clinical based, so I feel like it's a little bit more relevant to residency in itself. But that's my opinion. Do you mind chiming in? And for me, I would have been excited to have more emphasis on clinical grades and less emphasis on the actual test itself. But like I said, I'm just speaking from my experience. But yeah, I'm very excited that you're chiming in. Anybody else that's on? Again, we're just talking about the changes to step one, how they're changing from a 3-point score to a pass-fail score. And then there was something else that I was reading. I'm looking on the website now. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. I was trying to find, because they have like an official like decision that's on the website, and you guys can go to it as well. It's USMLE.org, and you can also look at the article as well. So yeah, I'm trying to look. There was a part that I was reading, and I can't really see where it was at. So yeah, again, if you guys want to go ahead and chime in. It says, do you think the MCAT score will be evaluated differently? I think that's a good question. I'm not sure because from what I know from the numbers, your step one score is not necessarily equivalent, or like not equivalent, but it doesn't necessarily correlate to how well you did on your MCAT score. So I'm not sure if they'll try to use that as a correlation. Like I said, I think from what I'm reading, it sounds as though they are trying to go to more of a holistic approach, um, and trying to. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. So technically, like I told you guys, I took step one 3 times, and through the licensure program, you can actually take it up to 6 times. However, my school only allowed me to take it for 3 times. They are changing it now, and so now instead of taking it 3 times, you only can, I mean, 6 times, you only can take it a total of 4 times. So I did just see that. So, like I said, I'm just kind of reporting this as it is coming to me. I'm just kind of navigating the website now. Let's see. D. Guard says, I agree. Most of the information on step one is very specific and not actually 100% relevant to clinical medicine. It's a positive change, but I think later on people will see that it's problematic. And I think that's the biggest thing is like there's no perfect way, right? You know what I mean? Like we can argue, about everything being pass fail, but then it's still like, there is going to have to be a comparison because as we know, med school is very competitive to get in. There's a lot of excellent candidates that do not get in, and same with, we're seeing the issues with students even matching now. There's a lot of great candidates that there's just not enough residency seats to sit everyone who's interested in that particular field. So there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed in medicine. There's a lot of funding that needs to continue to go into supporting, these residency programs. And so I really hope that it's a step in the right direction. But as we know, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to solve everything. So yeah, I want y'all to chime in, give us some more feedback. Okay, let's see. B Guard says, I think step 2 in MCAT will matter more, maybe even research and letters of recommendation. A lot of changes. I agree, but you know what? I am okay with a more holistic approach because I mean, if we really be honest, step 1, I don't want to just be throwing out no percentages, right? But I really feel like step 1 plays such a large role in your future in medicine. And I just think about the level of stress that you're feeling right now, D-Guard. Like, imagine if you were taking your test and you knew that, like, regardless, that you would be able to, as long as you pass, you would be able to continue and have a fighting chance to at least get to step 2. Like for me, I didn't even get a chance to get to step 2. You know what I mean? Because this was like a big barrier for me as well, and just a big stressor. Let's see. Ibrahim said, if I take exam before 2022 and apply to match in 2023, what will happen, please? So I believe it's really not going to affect anyone until 2024, because technically you take step 1 after your second year. So I believe it's really going to be for the class of 2024, and that's going to be able to benefit from this if they actually, because they said the earliest is 2022. Oh, sorry, they said the earliest is 2022. So that means that it could be later than that. But the earliest class that will actually benefit will be the graduating class of 2024. Yeah, yep, D-Guard, you are correct. The score will still be reported with 3 numbers. You are correct. Yeah, definitely correct. Earlier you mentioned testing bias. Would you explain? So, this I think is a controversial topic when it comes to testing bias. But I know, especially as educators, I'm preparing my kids for biology end of course testing. And, depending on what my students' level of background knowledge is and just kind of how they have been brought into like the system, because it's a systemic issue. Let me just say it like that. Um, I think it plays a role on, and I'm sorry, y'all, give me a second. I'm trying to articulate myself. I'm still at school, a little tired, but I think it plays a role on just kind of how we even view questions, right? Because, like, even for me, it's just like based off of my experiences, the way that I look at a question, I can sit here and have a conversation with you, But when they're looking at like specific nitty gritty type questions, it's like, okay, well, technically, like, how should I interpret this? You know what I mean? And so I think that there can be some biases kind of based on your experiences. And a lot of people are able to push through those, through different coping mechanisms. And then you have other people who they struggle much more. And we've definitely seen that with minority students. But I think that it's not even just like the medical education itself. I think that it stems like far before that. So yeah. Let's see. I have to go, but thanks for a quick chat. Good luck, you guys. Oh, thanks so much. I hope you chime in again. Hope you chime in again. So yeah. Yeah, so that's just kind of some of my thoughts about it. I was trying to go back. Um, so like on the website, if you go on it, because they have like a whole like section about it, it's talking about like some of the pros and cons that, let's see, some of the pros and cons that may come with this change. Right. So, like, for instance, like a pro is like if no USMLE numeric score exists and a demand for a national assessment remains, what fills the gap? So, yeah, and let's see, cons. It says opportunity cost due to students' heavy focus on maximizing USMLE scores, for et cetera, less time for research, volunteerism. Pros offers a level playing field for all examinees, including those from international and new or lesser known schools. Cons, taking focus off scores may create more diversity with various specialty groups. Now, I know that DGAR did mention, some of his concerns as far as like IMG students and international students. But I am interested to like how that will actually translate because I think many of us know now that if you are coming from medical schools that are not as known, that in comparison, for instance, if you score, a little higher than someone who is coming from a more distinguished school, that I'm sure that the person from the more distinguished school will potentially still have an advantage over you. So I'm not quite sure how it will translate because we know even with IMG students, they can score considerably higher than U.S. students and still not get residency spots because of the preference of getting residency spots for the actual students who are here in U.S. schools. So yeah, I'm interested to what big difference that will make if it will actually, as the website is trying to say, like give a level playing field for the examinees, or if it will like further perpetuate kind of what you already see now from IMG students not benefiting as much. All right. Logan said the language of standardized testing. Exactly. But basically. Let's see. Ibrahim, how will they differentiate pass fail from numerical score applicants? So the only thing with that is that, for the most part, like I said, at least it was a student, for instance, if you were class of 2023 and you took your, say for instance, you took your step one exam, you got your 3 numerical score, you went into like a very competitive match for, let's just say, for derm, and you didn't match that year and you decided to take a year off to do research. Well, then that 2024, you will be technically competing against them for that next match. And then, so maybe that would be the only instance. But other than that, there really wouldn't be a comparison of students with numerical scores versus students who are actually like on the pass fail system, because it will be that class that's actually coming in. Like I said, the only way, I think you'll only see that situation like the first couple years, if there's like extenuating circumstances where somebody from 2023 doesn't match and has to match with the 2024 class, if that makes sense. And you guys, I am so sorry. I'm at school, but I don't know where my charger is. Let me see. Oh, I'm like, I don't want my live to go bad. I mean, not bad. I don't want it to go off. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, I think I got a charger. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, trying to get the chat. Okay, it says, this is bad for DOs/IMGs. No way to differentiate yourself for competitive specialties. So I agree. I think that if you are, so I think it depends, because some people who are trying to go into competitive specialties, they don't stand a chance if they don't score a specific score. So you have to look at it. You can look at it as like, well, you know, they don't stand a chance, or maybe it is giving them more of an even playing field. Because I know I have friends personally who aspire to be specific doctors, but based on their step one score, that was completely out of the water. And also remember that DOs also have their own residency programs. There are some DO students who do try to apply for MD residency spots, but they're also talking about merging the residency programs for DOs and MDs. So yeah, they don't have as many competitive specialties per se, the DO residencies, but they definitely have their own test that they take that is similar to step one, but it is not step one. So at least they haven't, like I said, they've been talking about making a change, but they haven't made the change yet. So I think DOs are pretty safe for the most part. But like I said, like you said, you do bring up a good point for competitive specialties. Logan said, aren't they combining MD-DO schools? So no, I don't think the conversation has necessarily been combining like MD and DO schools, but I think that it's more so about combining the actual like residency programs, because currently DO, they do like osteopathic manipulation, in which the MD schools do not do. So their programming is a little bit different from ours, but you definitely will find DOs in MD programs, but you will not find MDs in DO programs, if that makes sense. So DOs, they have a chance to match in DO programs, and if they take step one, step two, they also have a chance to match into MD programs. But as MDs, you can't match into DO programs. So yeah, but I don't know how long of a time that is to come, but they were talking about it when I was in med school. Oh, okay. Well, that is some good updated information. So I'm Enrique's one said the merger is happening in 2020 for residencies. It says some DO residency programs are shutting down that don't want to go through the merger. Oh, wow. Well, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research on that. Like I said, I can't say I'm completely up to date with everything, but let me see. So you said DO, you said there's an MD DO merger. Like I said, it's been on the talks for like a long time though, for sure. So I am Enrique's. Hello, hello, hello. Or I'm Enrique, sorry. How are you doing? And do you mind letting us know where are you from? And are you currently in med school, or are you on your path to med school, or are you already a practicing physician? So yeah, so I'm trying to look for an updated article regarding the merger. All right, so I'm Enriquez is a third-year DO student in Texas. Okay, so I'm Enriquez. Do you mind chiming in on what you think about this new change for the Step 1 exam that is set to roll out at its earliest 2022? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, and then while you're responding, I'll update everybody else who is also on here. And so it says significant changes to medical education always take time to roll out. The gap between an official announcement and a date when a new process or system actually begins is often so long that it can easily sneak up on you. Look no further than the DO-MD merger, like Enrique said, which combines the allopathic and osteopathic graduate medical education accreditation systems for proof. The Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education, the American Osteopathic Association, and the American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine announced an agreement to move toward a single system for accrediting residency programs back in 2014. So that's what I remember, the talks about that back then as well. But like they said, there's usually some type of gap. And then it says, but the change officially takes place July 1st, 2020. Residencies will no longer be MD versus DO. They'll all be grouped together. Now that's interesting. It says now that the transition to the single system is right around the corner, current and soon-to-be medical students have started to take notice. What does the what does the DO-MD merger mean for your future? Will you face new obstacles or advantages? The good news is that moving to one system is a lot less scary than it sounds. And then so they're giving a breakdown about what it will look like. I'm just skimming through. So they said by consolidating the system, it lowers the cost and improve efficiency from eliminating duplicate accreditation. Okay, so I am Enriquez. Are you guys still taking your separate tests though? Or are you guys going to be, that's interesting. Or is it going to be step 1? Let's see. Logan said, hey, doc. I'm Enrique says, I think it's bad for DLs wanting to do competitive specialties because the only way to differentiate yourself was by step 1 score. Also, since step 2 CK is not going to be pass fail, it just makes it just makes it the important exam. I agree. That's why I was saying I will say I am a little biased just because I didn't get an opportunity to take step 2. So for me, I can definitely see some of the benefits of having an opportunity to take step 2 because it is not as it's still a grueling process. Like studying is still a stressful process, and like you said, you're gonna find the stress somewhere. Because I feel like a lot of students aren't as stressed about step 2 as they are about step 1, especially if they did well on step 1. It kind of lessens the stress, and I feel like it is going to place more stress on step 2. But I feel like step 2 is more clinically relevant, and I feel like that may be a better indicator of success down the line as far as like the actual knowledge than the basics of step 1. Okay, so yeah, we take complex and don't have to take step 1, but I decided to take step 1. Oh yeah, so Logan, so that's what I was saying, how there's been two different licensure programs. So I'm assuming, so you took both. Enriquez, did you already take your complex? I said complex, sorry. Did you take your complex already? And that's what, so I have friends who are DOs as well, and many of them decided to take step 1. But I think in the past it has been beneficial just because they've had an opportunity to match into 2 different programs. So if they didn't match into their DO program, they had an opportunity to match in step 1, or if they didn't match in step 1, they still had an opportunity to match into DO. Yeah, Complex 1 and Step 1 in June. Well, I'm Enrique's. We are definitely going to be praying for you for sure about your Step 1 because, of course, is going to still be needing his 3 score. Yeah, he's going to still be needing his score as well to be competitive. All right, so Logan says, excuse my ignorance, but what defines a competitive specialty? So let's see. Oh, you did say, I'm sorry, you in your third year. Yeah, you done with Step 1. That I definitely didn't catch that. I told y'all it's been a long day, long day. So yeah, so okay. Oh well, if you don't mind sharing, of course not your score, but like, how did you feel about Step 1? How did you do on your Step 1? And congratulations with being done with that. What rotation are you right now? And then oh, and then let's see. Oh, hey, Coy said hello. Hey, Coy, how you doing, girl? How's nursing school going? All right, so like, okay, so and then Logan, I haven't forgotten about you. So, um, I'll say like some of the most competitive specialties are like neurosurgery, dermatology, thoracic surgery, plastic surgery is very competitive. Orthopedic surgery is known to be very competitive. There's just a list of them. And what would you say makes the special? I think what makes the specialties hard is just the level of knowledge that you need to know because they're very like specialized areas, and so their programs are generally longer as well in comparison to like if you were just doing like family medicine or if you were doing, just becoming an internist. Okay. Enrique said, did great, about average, but I'm going for psych, so it was a relief. I'm on surgery rotation currently. Well, congratulations, I'm Enrique. That is great to hear. Super great to hear. And so, are you applying for both residency programs then? And do you have a preference? Like, are you trying to go? Well, I know you said that they're merging, so I guess technically you'll be affected by the merger as well. So, disregard that question. I'm wondering, I know you were talking about them taking away the score, right? But I'm wondering what that will mean for you with the merger, for instance, because you don't have to worry about the pass score. But I wonder how they're going to look at students who are applying for the same program who did not take Step 1. So are they going to make it like something mandatory that DL students have to do now as far as taking Step 1 if they're merging the programs? Okay, hey Koi. So you guys, hey Koi's on the line as well. She's one of my good friends. She's in her nursing program right now. And then I'm Enrique's. He is in Texas, you guys. And shout out to him. He is in his 3rd year of medical school and he's on his surgery rotation right now. And then we have Logan Pruitt is on the line and he is interested in going to medical school or possibly pursuing nursing as well. And he's currently a teacher in Texas. And then who else is on here? Because I like to shout y'all all out. Y'all know this is family. Very informal. Okay. Coy said, and that's great. I'm sorry. I'll be everywhere because I'm reading y'all comments. But I'm Enrique said that he's going for psych. That's great. That's what I was going to do. That's what I really enjoyed with psych as well. Coy said, I'm coming along. Med surg is pretty interesting. I'm loving it. Oh, that is so good. I'm glad you're loving it. Are you flourishing, girl? And you need to be uploading a new video on YouTube soon, too. Okay, and then Enrique said also the salary/lifestyle are attractive to people. That is very true. That is very true. There's only one match and only about 9 psych DO programs in the U.S., so I'll be applying to mostly traditional MD programs. Okay, That sounds great. So I guess will there be a, even though they're merging, will it be a distinction between which program is DO and MD, but you'll be able to just submit applications for both? Or will you not know like which program is DO MD? Or are they calling it MD DO? I'm Enrique said, I spoke to program directors for psych and they mentioned that they want to see step one for whatever reason. Okay, I believe that. I believe that. Now, question, were the program directors from traditional DO programs or were they from traditional MD programs? Because I can definitely see uh, the pressure of you guys to have to take step one if there's going to be a merger. Because then again, like that's another factor that if you have somebody who is a DO student and took Comlex and you have somebody that took a step one, like I am pretty sure that if they're going to take one or the other, they will probably be more prone to take a step one score. Let's see. Coy said, yes, I know my YouTube channel should be popping, but the way this workload is set up, I may do some for the holiday. No, I understand because I have not made like an official YouTube video in a very long time. I've just been doing lives infrequently, so I definitely want to get a posting schedule soon. But I got some big announcements though for you guys. Probably in the next couple months, just kind of what's going on with my life. I ain't ready to share yet, but yeah, I'm definitely trying to flourish over here though. Okay. Oh, MD programs. Yep, nope, that definitely makes sense. Okay, Logan said, hey, Coy, is med surg as difficult as people say? Why nursing versus other medical fields? Okay, that's excellent. Coy, go ahead. Chime on in. All right, so I know it's a couple of you guys on here. You guys may be a little shy to chime in, but please feel free to chime in if you guys have questions. If you're in medical school looking for extra support, if you guys are trying to pursue medicine and really don't feel like you have, you know, a tribe of people supporting you, please chime in because, like I said, my little community is small, but we are powerful and we are supportive and we just like to see each other win. So yeah, definitely chime in. Like I said, again, we have a med student, third year med student interested in psychiatry on the line. We have a nursing student on here. And we just trying to flourish. We are definitely trying to flourish. Okay, let's see. MBOME complex test makers are saying that complex equals step, but program directors don't know how to interpret complex scores. I definitely understand. And unfortunately, I think DO, I think y'all bomb.com. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I think that there is definitely still a stigma. We can act like there's not a stigma that's associated with it, but like, let's be transparent about it. I think there's still a stigma. But I think that you guys are amazing. I think that you guys, just the fact that you are able to like have even more than just a basic medical foundation and like go really deep into like the holistic approach to medicine, I think is really great. And like I said, there are going to be program directors that are going to be biased for sure. Logan said, you getting married? So we got to see him on the live. I know that's right. No, your girl ain't got no rings yet, but I'll let y'all know, though. I'll give y'all an update. Y'all will get y'all an update. That is funny. I know that's right, brother. Okay, sorry, you guys. I'm having, like, some connection issues. But let's see. Hey, Koi's Heap said, MedSurge is a different kind of monster. The subject matter dives much deeper than surface information. There are multiple disease processes for each organ. So yeah, I know most of my friends that are nurses, they definitely say that med surge is definitely one of the big beasts that you have to overcome in the nursing field. So yes. So Koi, like, are you having any change of hearts as far as like what area you want to focus in? Yeah, how you feeling? I'm Enriquez said, when you took step one, what did you think? What you mean? You gotta get a little bit more specific, Enriquez. And I'm sorry, am I pronouncing your name correctly? If not, you can get me together. I don't want to be rude. Okay, and Chloe said, so you have to learn that labs. You you have to learn the labs, your role in the healthcare team, contradictions. Oh, contraindications. Sorry, meds. Basically, everything there is to know, you have to know. And then also, Koi, can you just kind of briefly let Logan know? I think he was asking more so. Hold on, let me go back to his original question. Oh, why you chose nursing versus like other fields? I don't know. Logan, were you on a live when we talked a little bit originally? Because originally, Coy was interested in going to medical school originally. She got a whole testimony. She doing some great things. So proud of her. Okay. And Enrique said, yeah, you are. Did you think it was like you, world? And did you have a lot of random questions, not in first aid or other prep resources? Oh, yeah. No, step one was definitely a beast of its own kind. I actually was very disappointed with U World Q Bank. I felt like the Kaplan Q Bank was much more uh, similar to the style of questions that I found on step one. Now, of course, like your basic questions were your basic questions. You could find them in any Q Bank, but like I think the more like the questions where you had to like synthesize a little bit more, I think those questions were definitely much more challenging to say the least. But yeah, so first day, other sources, and it's crazy though because I will say like after I left step one each time, soon as I left, I could think about every single answer to every question. Like I swear I was able to remember like at least 100 questions. It was ridiculous. And I was like correcting myself. Like it was so bad that when I was taking step one, during the breaks, I would leave and go like check my first aid or like get on my phone to see like, ooh, what did I get wrong? Like I said, for me, it was a lot of mental stress, especially after failing it. The first time it was like, okay, I know I could have studied a little bit more hardcore, but like the second time that I took it and the third time, I really thought like, I thought I felt better. I definitely know that the knowledge was definitely there. And I did well on my MBMEs, not the first go round. But I definitely felt pressure to take my exam the first time. But I will say, definitely to any of you guys, if you haven't taken step one, you have to advocate for yourself because your school definitely is. Some schools are going to pressure you and they're going to be like, oh, we need you to take it now and, you'll be fine. But especially if you're still going to be on this like numerical system, like if you've got to listen like to your gut as well. And sometimes you may be like fear and like, oh, I just don't want to take it. Some people just continue to push back. But if you like know that like I knew that I knew the first time I took it, I should have prolonged it as well, but I did not. But the second time, I definitely felt like I was prepared, and the third time as well. Okay. So sorry. Let's see. Logan Pruitt said, not sure. Hey Coy said, I chose nursing due to the flexibility, being able to work closely with patients. Plus, I had a personal experience that sparked a passion in me. Logan said, I never second guess myself when testing. Once I answer, I never change my responses. No, that's really good. But it's crazy though, because for me, I think like on the actual exam, when I clicked the answer, I wouldn't like go back and change the answer, but I would change the answer in my mind because like the pressure knowing like, oh my gosh, it could be wrong, it just had me question even just the basic of the basic science. It's like the stuff that I knew, it was just like, oh my gosh, but what if? It's like what ifs ran through my mind the entire exam. Entire exam. Enrique says, it sucks they put so much pressure on this one exam. It's hard for residency programs to sift through thousands of applicants, so they cut it down by using step one as a filter. Yep, no, that's definitely the truth. And so I agree. I mean, we know that there has to be a filter, but I just personally feel like step two is a better filter than step one. But like I said, I'm a little biased, so. And Koi said, I originally wanted to go to med school. Through multiple shadowing and volunteering experiences, the doctor seemed unhappy. It could be due to family medicine and not being the, the specialty he deeply desired. And that kind of goes back to step one, Koi. So, Koi, we've been talking about how the USMLE has now made a decision that starting in 2022 that the step one is going to be pass fail. And earlier I was talking about how basically after your second year of medical school whether or not you are going to be competitive enough to get into a specific program based off of that one score. Like it is that big of a score. So I guess I wonder, but I wonder if that, I mean, you can kind of see it as a positive thing though, as well, because if you find out after your second year that, hey, I'm not competitive enough, then you can kind of change your focus. You got 2 years before, you're finished with med school to kind of try to have a change of heart. Whereas, like, if you are like, oh, I'm going to be in this specialty and you've been grinding 3 years, and then after you take step two, like, you do super trash, and that's what they're actually going to be looking at, then that could probably be very devastating as well. So I'm trying to see it from all viewpoints, you guys. That's why I appreciate you guys chiming in as well on this conversation. Let's see. I'm Enrique's. Oh, Logan has a question for you. Enrique's, how could they better filter applicants? Good question. And Koi said, wow, that sucks, right? Yeah, it's definitely different for sure. But that is sad though. But it's crazy though, because I feel like a lot of people go into med school. This is just a random side note, having their mind made up like, oh, I'm definitely doing this specialty. And then by the time they get to like third year, they're like, oh, I definitely don't want to do that anymore. So that's a good thing. Definitely come into med school open-minded, because you may have your mind made up. And some people, they do. They've always, this is what I'm going to be, and that's what they become. And then other people, those doors can either get shut because of how well or how not well you did on the exam, or you can have more doors that can open because you scored, some crazy score. Okay, so Enrique says standardized clinical grades. That is true. So Enrique's, for your clinical grades, is your program on a pass fail, or are you guys getting like an honors? Is it still like AB? What does your stuff look like? Do you recommend taking the test before 2020 for an immigrant student? So before 2020. So the thing about step one, it's not like, what kind of like MCAT, like you can, for instance, I can decide that I want to take MCAT this year, but I know I'm not applying for another year. You can't do that with step one. Like with step one, especially if you plan on completing med school in 4 years, you take your step one exam once you're done with your basic sciences, which is your second year. So you really don't have the choice to decide whether or not you're going to delay taking step one, because even students who do like MD, MPH programs, they're generally taking their step one exam after basic sciences, and then they're going into their MPH or MBA programs. And let's see. Enrique said, and letters of recommendation are pretty much the same. To me, medicine is a blessing just to be able to study. I agree. Okay, let's see. Enrique said our program is pass fail for the first 2 years, and then we get honors in the third year during clinicals. So, okay, Enriquez, can you kind of give your insight about how you felt about pass fail for your curriculum for your basic sciences? Because like my med school, they are now on a pass fail program, but when I was attending for my basic sciences, we still got letter grades. Okay, let's see. Bobo said, sorry before 2022. Oh yeah, so yeah, again, you kind of have to take it with the cohort that you come in with. So if you come in with 2024, you won't be taking your MCAT until 20. I mean, not MCAT. You won't be taking your step one until 2022. Hey, Koi said, headed into Bible study. Talk to you later. Good luck, everyone, on your journey. If one person can, that's proof you can do it. Focus, focus, focus. Pray, focus again. Oh, thank you, Koi. Love you. Let's see. Famous said, just join. I think the 3-digit score is still the best. So do you think that step one, oh, and do you mind just telling us where you're from, if you're currently in medical school, if you're already a doctor, or if you are trying to pursue medicine? And then when you say 3-digit score, do you think it's best for step one, or do you think that it's a good change that the focus will be step two? Enrique says it was definitely less stressful and allowed me to board study early on while not focusing so much on the school curriculum. And so I think that's another thing too, from what I've been trying to read up literally a few minutes before I went live with the actual step two pass fail, is that they're saying that they want students to be able to focus in those first couple years on research and just on just being more holistic as medical students, because there are some medical students that literally from the first day that they get to med school, they're hitting the floor running, and they literally are not taking time to do anything besides focus on step one. And so for that, from that perspective, what are your thoughts about that? Seeing that they're wanting students to focus more in those first 2 years on, getting through their basic sciences and learning the information, but just not having that added stress and feeling like you can do other things. Okay, so let's see. But how does this pass fail affect IMG for residency program directors? So I think this is what I'm going to do, you guys. I'm going to check in with some residency program directors, and I'm going to get some feedback from them, and I'm going to try to make a video just so I can try to give you guys as much information as possible. I know this video is just kind of me throwing out my opinion, but I definitely want to be helpful to you guys as well, and to talk to some different program directors from different specialties, and just kind of see how they're viewing this process change, because there's a lot going on right now. Because like we said, not only do you have this change that's going to be happening in 2022, you also have the MD DO merger that Enriquez was also speaking about as well. And then also Bobo Cupo, I don't know if I pronounced your name right, but do you mind just letting us know where you're from and where you are currently on your journey in medicine? Let's see. Bobo Cupo said, I think the best way to evaluate all students is that they can take an average from step one, step two. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, I could possibly see that. I'm not sure how well that would like correlate, because I know the step two scale is a little bit different than the step one scale, so I don't know if they would have to like curve like the difference in the scales. I know they're similar, but I don't think they're quite the same. And somebody can correct me if they know. Like I said, I'm a little bit removed from this process, but I do try to stay somewhat updated through my friends who are still in med school, and my doctor friends and stuff. So let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. Okay. Ooh. I don't know if anybody else joined in. But yes, so you guys can just kind of chime in your thoughts as well. If you're just chiming in, we are discussing the changes that have been made with step one, going from a 3-digit numeric score to now a pass fail score. And then we also end up bringing up the MDDO merger as well. So yeah, feel free to chime in on your thoughts. Like I said, this was very just an informal, just kind of thoughts about everything. I haven't really had time to like really dig deep into everything on the website and all the pros and cons, but I'm just kind of giving you like my raw thoughts, and I'm appreciating you guys giving your feedback as well. Like I said, I'm definitely going to be trying to get in contact with what advice that they would give to IMG students and to my DO students as well. So yeah, so make sure you guys are chiming in. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Famous said, I'm actually studying in the Philippines. The 3-digit score system is still best for STEP because it just challenges you to be at your best. Logan said, good to hear y'all's perspective since I don't have experience either way. Okay, all right. So, no, I can definitely see that. Like I said, it definitely challenges you, to be at your best. But I guess the thing is, like, when does the challenge of like an exam start to become a crutch? And I guess for me, it's like, how do we curve that as well? Because yes, you do want students to be challenged, but what is the best fit for the challenge? Should the best fit for that challenge be step one? Should it be step two? I know someone said that it should be, Bobo said it should be a combination, average of both scores. Oh yeah, Logan, I hope you get some good information too. And then Logan, make sure you chime in as well. And Famous, I have one student from the Philippines that I'm teaching this year. One of my fave students too. He's amazing. Awesome, awesome. But yeah, Logan, make sure you chime in if you got any questions. Enriquez is, third year med student DO in Texas. And I know you're in Texas as well. And then, oh yes, 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 yes. He was, I know, random side note. He was just showing me a video yesterday of a Philippine citizen that is on America's Got Talent, and he's like singing in all these different octaves. Really amazing. But yeah, he's an excellent student. He was telling me how different the educational system is here in the United States versus in the Philippines. So yeah, make sure you guys are chiming in though. I'm still looking on the website, and it looks like they have an episode as well on, I think it's like a video. Oh yeah, it's on SoundCloud. They have an episode talking about, the episode is number 8 if you go on the USMLE website, and it says the 3 decisions to result in future changes to USMLE. Okay, let's see. It's okay. I'm studying in ICM, Northwestern University in Dagapam City. Oh, that is awesome. If you don't mind, I'm going to share with my student that somebody on my live was from Philippines. He'll be super excited. And he loves science as well. He loves science. So yeah, I'm looking on here now. Like I said, there's a episode. Let me see if I can get a little bit of the transcript, see what they're talking about on the episode. Sure, just going into more details. But like I said, I think regardless, there's not like a perfect system, and like Enrique's kind of stated, like, you know, unfortunately, standardized testing, it does have a place, because there has to be a way in order to filter applicants, in order to, you know, try to figure out like what's the best way to rank, students. But I will say, some people can test well, but they have no type of bedside manner, no type of, interpersonal skills, no type of empathy. So I think that's definitely important. I just think a holistic approach to dealing with medicine and the future doctors, it is so important that we're looking at, this approach in a holistic way. Let's see. And then let's see. Oh, another thing that, so okay, so there was three things, right? So, they're changing from the 3-digit score to the pass fail. And then I think I mentioned earlier on, instead of having 6 attempts, they're only allowing 4 attempts. But like I said, most medical schools have a cap. My med school was 3. And at the time that I had took step 1, it was actually 6. But now they've moved that down to 4, which I think is good. And then it says per step or step component. So technically it's not like all together with your steps. And then the last thing is that USMLE is requiring individuals to pass step 1 as an eligibility requirement for taking step 2 CS. So there's actually some medical schools that allow you to take your step 2 CS even if you failed your step 1. Obviously, my medical school was not one of them, which is fine, but there are some schools that allow you to take step 2 even if you didn't pass step 1. So that's interesting in itself. And there's also some med schools that if you fail step 1, you can still go on to your clinical years, and like you might do 3rd year and then you'll take a break and retake your step 1. So every med school is a little bit differently. A little bit about me, if you guys don't know, I was an allopathic medical student in the Midwest, and I was dismissed from med school almost 2 years ago for failing to pass my step 1 examination by 1 point on my final attempt provided to me by my school. Again, a lot of it was test taking anxiety. It was just the pressure of having to take the test. And in case you are wondering, I did try to work through it. I was in therapy after I took the test the first time as well. And, based on my MBME scores, I think 18, from last time I checked, I haven't checked in a while, but 18, MBME number 18 was, or is it 18 or 17? I'll have to check. I think, y'all don't judge me, but it was one, whatever the one was, it had showed that one was like the biggest indicator of how you would do on the actual test exam, because all of them aren't created equally, because some of them are like much older. But I did well on that one specific one. Maybe it was 16. It was 16 or 18. But I did well on that one as well. And I still did not do well on test day, obviously. So that's why we're kind of having this conversation, because I'm kind of giving my insight about how I feel about the changes that have taken place and how it could have possibly, affected my outcome as well. So yeah, does anybody else have anything that they would like to chime in? Any questions, any thoughts? Bobo Kupo says, I am from Egypt. So are there other ways to work in USA other than USMLE? So that is our licensure examination. So you would have to have the USMLE in order to be able to practice here. I had one of my classmates was actually in medical school in another country before coming to our med school, and they were no longer able, well, they weren't able to like finish over there and like come over here. So they just came over here and I had to like start over again. And I have another young lady I met. Her mom was actually a doctor in her native country, but when she came over here, they didn't accept any of her credentials, and she would have basically had to take the MCAT and to go back into medical school. So she just ended up going to nursing school and finishing up that way. Let's see. Oh, and Bobo Kopo, I have two Egyptian students as well. Random side note that I'm teaching. So yeah, pretty cool. So yes, you guys, I just wanted to check in and again share my thoughts. And let's see, what time is it? It's about 7 o'clock. It's about 7 o'clock my way, so I'm gonna be getting off here shortly. If no one else has anything that they'd like to add, like I said, I'm just kind of at some of the pros, the cons, and just the timelines of everything as well. And there was an invitational conference on USMLE scoring that took place back last year, March 11th through the 12th. So that's interesting. And what they're saying is they're going to be giving like more details later this year in regards to the change. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to make like a formal video after I get these residency program directors, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you guys, because like I said, this is definitely a big change. And supposedly they had many stakeholders that were involved in this decision, so it wasn't a decision that was made lightly. This has been an ongoing conversation, and it's just like they're finally coming to resolve. So yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I enjoyed chatting with you guys, and I hope that you guys will just continue to follow me along my journey. Since being dismissed from med school again, it's been almost 2 years for me. I'm currently back in the classroom. I am a high school biology teacher, and yes, I'm just trying to flourish and being optimistic about life and just excited about everything that's in store for me. So thank you again, and I hope to talk to you guys soon.